This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. My name is Emery Gillespie, and I am so glad to be seeing y'all again today. I've been away on vacation for 2 weeks, and I was able to do a reunion with my class of pastors from San Francisco Theological Seminary, which was really great. It was a 3-day Zoom reunion, and we all got a chance to talk. But just as I got back from all of that, we got hit with this storm on Monday that many of you experienced with me. So we just got power last night. We've been cleaning up the yard and doing a lot of work with the neighbors, cutting down trees and trying to get our life back in order. We found our mailbox. We've found a lot of things just flown around in other people's places, but I think we're going to be okay. And for those of you who are still dealing with no power and a stinky fridge and all the yucky stuff that goes with surviving something like this, I continue to think about you and continue to step out and help and do what we can to get through all of this together. Our New Testament scripture for this week, last week, and this week is let's see, it's Matthew 14, and it is, oddly enough, the story of the storm. Jesus ends up in a place. The disciples are out on the water. Jesus is grieving from the loss of his cousin John, the baptizer, and he has been trying to find a place to be by himself. The disciples end up in the boat, and these waves just toss them up and down. Horrible storm, and they see out on the water what they think is a ghost, and it's very scary. And they discover that it's actually Jesus, and he is walking on the water. And as he gets closer, he ends up welcoming Peter out to the water, and Peter, of course, begins to sink, and Jesus reaches out his hand and rescues him. Our class reunion, we spent some time doing some reflecting on this passage, and it was so interesting, all these different people from around the country and their different points of view, right? So for me, of course, I thought about it primarily after the reunion when I was crouched down in the basement with my fingers in my ears because of the storm, and tears, and really afraid, and what that feels like. My other classmates, though, one of them talked about grief and just said, this story is about Jesus grieving and how oftentimes we can't grieve as long as we want to. Oftentimes we can't grieve the way we want to. Jesus keeps getting interrupted, and that what ends up healing him is being back with his friends and having them leaning on him and needing him again. That there's something true about that for all of us when we grieve. We think we need to be alone, and of course we do, but in time it's the community, a community of love and support, that ends up healing us and knowing that we're needed again. Another person in Hawaii, she said that the waters are where we are vulnerable, that the waters are the places where we don't want to be in the water. We don't want to be in the storm, the emotional storm. We don't want to admit that we've been living a lie, or that we've been pretending, or that we've been trying and failing, or whatever it is, that we don't want to admit it. We don't want to admit, like Peter has to, I'm sinking. She says that in Hawaii, where she lives, they often think about the waters separating the islands from each other. But she said actually the waters connect the islands to each other. That it's the places where we say, I'm very uncertain right now, I'm scared right now, I'm embarrassed, I'm apologetic, I'm ashamed, I'm whatever, that those moments when we come clean like Peter has to, and say, I just can't make it, I'm sinking, that those are the times we actually end up connecting with each other. So that was a really nice way to think about it. And then someone else just talked about how, as a community of people, we're all in the boat in all of our institutions, whether we're in a school or a church or a business, a factory, a farm, wherever we are, we can really get stuck in the boat. And we can be cowering in there while storms are going on outside of us. But this passage says to us, step out of the boat. Step out of the boat. With COVID and with this storm, so often we want to just go into denial and say, I just don't want to deal with any of it. But this passage again says, step out and be a part of this wild, scary world. This is where you belong. So what about the ghost? There's a lot to be said about the ghost. I remember one of the pastor friends of mine, he says it's hard to step out on a boat when it's a ghost who's inviting you to step out. That in some ways this ghost of Jesus is sort of indicative of how we feel about everything when we're stepping out. And it's like, can I trust you to tell me how to climb this mountain, or how to start this new job, or how to be in this relationship, or try something new? Can I really trust you? You seem sort of, I don't know if you're an okay person to trust. He says we're always doing that. We always kind of look sideways at the person who can help us. And that's that an uncertainty. You've got a storm. You've got a person who's coming to help you, but you're not sure. This is what we deal with all the time, whether we're in the hospital or going into the bank asking for a loan or whatever. We deal with scary stuff. But Jesus says in this passage, do not be afraid, it is I am with you. And he reaches out his hand and helps him up, keeps him up. It's a good time to use that spiritual discipline of looking for the good things, because there are good things. Even in this time, during this past week, I got to know my neighbors in a new way. Nobody had inside power. We were all outdoors together, helping each other with our face masks on. And there was a lot of beauty to that. because there were no lights in Cedar Rapids. The stars were amazing. There was just some great, beautiful times. So, blessings to you all as we move toward the beginning of the fall. And my thoughts are with all of you. I hope that you have a good week. Take care. Blessings.